Hi everyone, this is Kerry Ann in the craft room at Shabby Art Boutique, and today is November 1st, which means it is the first day of my 14th annual Simply Christmas event. So this is an event that I've been running since 2009, and when I first started it was meant to be just a one-off event for that year, and it was really all about putting homemade and home-baked back into Christmas and really going for an old-fashioned stress-free Christmas. So it was all about doing all the plans, making all the things and getting you to the 1st of December so you could actually enjoy the actual holiday season and have everything already prepared. It was so popular, it just took off. I did it again the following year and the year after that, and here we are 14 years later and I'm still doing Simply Christmas every year. Everything that I give to you during this 8-week period from the 1st of November through to Christmas Eve is free. They're all free printables, free craft projects, free tutorials, there's recipes, there's decorating ideas, all sorts of things. I have something every week for you. So make sure that you pop into Shabby Art Boutique over the next few weeks and help yourself to some Christmas goodies. But I always kick off Simply Christmas with the same project every year, and it's a planner. What a better way to do it. It's perfect to get November planned out and make all your lists, work out all your recipes, all your groceries, everything you need to do, and we make one of these planners. This one this year, it's a cute little gingerbread themed one. It's a tri-folio, which I've made before, and I think maybe 2020, 2021, I made a green one, and it was the year that I really loved it because I found it so practical. It's small enough to fit into my bag, but big enough, it holds a lot, big enough to hold all my lists and all my plans. So I could take it in my shopping tote when I went shopping, and I could refer to it, and it was just perfect. So I decided to go with that one again this year. So I've put together a 19-page free printable for you. It has the templates for how to make this. It has the papers to use, but you could use your own, you could substitute there. And it also has all the little printable list files. So it's all there for you, and you can choose which ones you want to use. You might want to print the whole file. You might just want to pick and choose between the things that are in it. It's a standard 5" by 7", so you could certainly use a lot of my other printables in there as well. So fun project, it's easy and it's great for beginners. So I'm going to pop the camera around and show you through the actual planner, and then I'm going to show you how to make it. So I won't be a second. Okay, let's take a closer look at our 2023 Christmas planner. It's quite compact little planner. It'll fit into your bag to go shopping, but it actually does hold a lot. It's surprising how much you can fit in there. So size-wise, it is 5 inches wide by 7 inches high, and it's a 1/2 inch deep. So it's got gussets on the side so that you've got plenty of room for your pockets to hold things. I've actually put an optional pocket on the back as well. It's just because that's an area that, you may as well use it. You can see there, it's got plenty of room there to pop in. I've just got note papers in there, but you could put receipts or other things just in the back there. So you don't want to waste any space that you've got on these folios. So let's take a look inside. Everything that you see in here is actually included in the printable. So all the papers, the template to make the actual folio, and all of the actual list papers inside. So it's basically a tri-folder, so it folds out to be the 3 areas. So on the outside here, we've got one that's already pre-labeled, so it's shopping, and you get these shopping lists that come with your printable, and there's 3 of those to a page. Under the food section, we've got a meal planner and a grocery list. And of course, you could slip in recipes and recipe cards and things in there as well. Under lists, we've got a gift list. There's email lists. What else is there? Cards and wish lists. So all your lists there. So of course, you can get the kids to fill out their wish lists, or the grandchildren, family members, and you can go shopping and you can have your lists of who you're buying for. So that's why I like to take mine in my bag with me, so that I can just check back and see who I've already purchased gifts for or made gifts for, and what's on their wish list. So it's very handy. On the plans one, we've got several printables there. It's got a November and a December calendar, just so you can pop your dates in there. You can refer to that. And then behind it, there's also November and December what's on. So there's enough here for a week. I actually laminate mine, so I can just write on them and rub them off and use the same ones each week. But if you wanted to plan ahead, you can certainly print off lots of them or print them double-sided. So the idea is that, you know, they're not actually permanently in there. So if you've filled one up, you can just remove it and put a fresh one in there. So it makes it very versatile. So that's the 3 on the inside. We've got the shopping one there. And then on the very back, of course, we've got the extra pocket there that doesn't have a label on it, so it can be used for anything. Now, with this, I've actually made it as a template. And I've done that for several reasons. The main reason being that not everybody can print the thicker cards on their printers. So by making a template, I'll just get all these papers out of the way. I've already pre-cut them ready to go. So it's essentially just 3 pieces of card. Now, this card is too thick to go through. Get it right way around. This would be too thick to feed through most printers. Okay, this is probably about 250 or 260 GSM. So it's got a little bit of weight behind it, holds its shape, but you need that for a folio. Okay, so that's not going to go through your printer. So by giving you a template that you can print out and either stick onto your card or just draw up onto your card, they're basically just 5" by 7" squares with a gusset and a tab on the 2 outside ones, and just your center rectangle in the middle. The gussets are different sizes on the template, so be sure to get them the right way round. The one on the left hand side has a 1/2" gusset, and you probably can't see it that well. I just actually will fold those over so you can see what I'm talking about. So now you can see it. That's a 1/2" one. That's so that when it closes, it gives you that gap in there for your pockets, and there's plenty of room to put things in it so it's not bulging. I've made the one on the left-hand side a bit thicker, and I'm going to show you on this one why. One's thicker than the other one, has a deeper gusset than the other one. It's because this flap here folds in first. So you've got plenty of room there for your pockets and all the things in them. That folds over, and the gusset on this one is actually wider so that there's more room for this one to sit up higher and the pockets sit on top of each other. And that way, it sits lovely and flat. It's not bulging, okay? It's not a chunky monkey. So that's why we do it that way. So essentially, you can cut these out, draw these up, or print the template out and stick it onto your white card. You can pick up this white card, look at most craft stores, stationery shops. You might have purchased it online. I'm using one that's actually already sized to A4, or you could do it for letter if you're in the US and using letter size paper. But you can also buy big sheets of it as well and cut it up. So it's not too thick that you can't bend it, but it's got a little bit of body to it. So I've simply just cut those shapes out that's on the template and then scored the 2 lines on both of the flaps on the outside. I'll just go through and actually put that one as well, so that one's ready to use. And the idea is, once we've done that, the little one in the middle, the rectangle, is just going to glue onto the tabs like so, and that forms the basis of our 3-page folio. Then we've got all the papers to decorate it with. Now, I've given you the papers to decorate it with and the pockets in the printable. However, you could substitute these with any papers you've got. So if you decide that you'd rather have perhaps a pink Ginger's calendar, a planner with blue papers, you can substitute these brown ones here for blue paper and just cut them to the same size. So it's very versatile. You can just change it and make it your very own planner in the colour scheme that suits you. But if you're a beginner and you're just starting out, then this is going to be easy to follow along with today, how I put this together. And as I said, it's only a few steps, so it is really, really easy. I have on this one, I've sewn around the edges on this. I quite like the look of that, and I haven't distressed it. I'm not someone that actually uses distressing on my shabby projects very often, but if you like to add some distress ink on there, then by all means go ahead. On this one I'm about to make now with you, I'm going to leave it really, really plain, just to show you that if you're a beginner and you don't have many supplies, and you don't have a lot of skills yet, it doesn't have to be difficult. It still looks pretty, even when you make it just as a plain folio. Okay, let me just get this all set up and I'll get some glue. It won't be a second. I'm just using a simple white glue, but I'm going to say here, the glue that you use for this particular project doesn't matter all that much because this is not a forever project. This is just a temporary project you're going to use in the lead up to Christmas, so maybe 8 weeks at the most, and then you can throw it away. So it doesn't have to be, you could use tape or you could use stick glue or whatever. We're not trying to get longevity out of it. So use whatever glue you're comfortable with. As I said, I'm just using a white glue because it does dry clear and it dries pretty quickly. So we've got the main panel and then the gusset. I think you can see that there. And then we've got a tab. The tab has the little corners cut off. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of white glue on there. Just putting just a little bit. You don't need much. And I'm just using my spreader just to spread that out nice and smooth. Now, I get lots of people messaging me or asking me on my Facebook groups, you know, why does their glue make everything buckle up? Why isn't it nice and flat? And the reason usually is that you've used too much glue. You really use glue quite sparingly and you try and spread it out to be a nice thin line and you won't get any of that buckling that you're seeing. It's just using the barest minimum of glue. There we go. I think I've got that in the right spot. Now I'm just gluing that tab to the back of this panel. You could glue it to the front. It doesn't make any difference which way you do it. Okay, I'm just doing them to the back. Just whichever way you do it, just make sure you do both the same. So that's our front cover and our center in place. Oopsie, put that over there. If you don't have a little spreader like this, don't stress. You can use just a little piece of, let me just grab a piece of my scrap card. You could just use a piece of cardboard. That's just from the offcuts from when I was cutting it all out. You literally just use that just to make it nice and smooth. Okay, a nice thin, smooth amount is all you need there. And you won't get any of that buckling or puckering. There we go. So as I said, I've put the tabs on the back, but it doesn't matter. It could be on the front. See how nice and easy that one just went on. I was mucking around with the other one. Okay, so that's our basic template. This flap will fold in that way, and this one will come out over the top of it. You'll also notice, maybe not on the template, but you will when you cut your papers out, that the flap on the right hand side here is not quite 5 inches. I think it's, by memory, I think it's 4 3/4. It's just a fraction shorter, so there's plenty of wriggle room there with all your pockets and things. Okay, so that's our template made. Now we can decorate it. I've already cut out the papers, ready to go on. You might need to do some trimming. Don't ever be perturbed when you print something out and it's not exactly the right measurement as what's stated on the actual printable. It's because some printers, I know with my printer, if I don't put the borderless on, sometimes it does shrink the items down a little. It's a fraction. It's only maybe totals 1/4 of an inch, but that does throw out the whole project if you're not printing everything at once. So sometimes not everyone's projects print exactly the same. Some printers will shrink to fit the page. I know another thing that happens a lot on my Etsy is people order the wrong files, and they might be, say, in the US, and instead of ordering a letter, they order the A4 papers. It still prints, but your printer just changes the size of it to fit the page, so it does adjust the size of it. So I always say with these sort of printables, these sort of projects, just double check that it's actually going to fit in place, that the measurements are quite right before you glue it in place. Often I'll go along and I just use a paper clip and just pin them all in and make sure I've got all the right ones in the right place before I start putting glue on, because that's when you can come really unstuck with your project. Because this one here is not as wide, see, and if I started sticking that on, actually no, it's not that one, I think it's this one here. It's not going to get to the edge there. And I'm in all sorts of trouble once I've started gluing it down. So that's why I sort of always go through and work out which ones go where. That's a 5/8, that can go there. So I get them all sorted out first. So I've done that, and next I'm going to put these over here so they're all ready to go. So it just takes a second to do that, but it can prevent heartache in the end. I'm going to do the little gusset papers first, put them in place. And I've actually made those in a different paper pattern, just so they stand out. Where have they all gone? Now there's obviously 2 different sizes in them because 2 are thinner to go in this one here, and the other 2 are wider to go on the wider side. You don't have to use these. This is optional. All it means is that when you make it, you'll just have a little white bit on the edge, and you mightn't mind that. But if you're okay with that, that's fine. You don't have to use them, okay? These are just options. So I'm just sort of showing you different techniques that you can use, and this is aimed at our beginners. So this one's going to go in here. I'm just going to check that that's going to fit in there nicely. I don't need to trim it. Nope, that's actually perfect. I'll just put some glue on there. These bottles are actually very handy because they do just give you a little bit of glue. It doesn't come out in big globules. So the brown ones go on the inside because that's where we're using the brown papers. There you go, it's that easy. Do the other side. And then I just might go ahead and keep doing the rest off camera. You don't need to watch me doing this. It's pretty basic stuff. Oops, wrong one, brown one. Here's another little tip if you're sort of new to paper crafting and you're a bit slow and glue starts drying on you. If you put a little bit of glue on both surfaces, so a little bit on the paper and a little bit on the card behind, it allows you to move it around a bit. It doesn't stick instantly, so it does give you that little bit of wriggle room. Okay, so that's those, and obviously we're going to, let me go to the paper. That's going to go in the middle on the inside, so there's different patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones, and I'll be back in a sec. Goodness me, I just had a minute where I was talking to you, just explaining that I've just put the pink gussets in. And while I was there, I thought, I'll just put the pink papers on and I'll show you how to put the ribbons on. And I've just realised the camera wasn't on. So I do apologise. But it's very simple. If you're going to use a ribbon closure, and you can use any closure you like, I just like the ribbon ones. You can actually even just wrap ribbon around the outside if you want to make it really easy. But I just tuck, it's probably, let me measure that, I'll tell you how much that is. It's probably about 12, 13 inches. I just tuck a little bit here on the top, on the front cover, just underneath the main picture, just there halfway, and then also on the back cover. Just so you can see it's still wet, just there underneath that before you put the papers on. With the back cover, you could put it on afterwards because you're going to put a pocket over it anyway, but that's what I was about to show, and yeah, you missed it, so I do apologise for that. But you can actually just wrap ribbon around the outside. You could use a magnet or a sticky dot. There's lots of different things you could use for a closure. Okay, so we've done that. So the fronts are done. Now I'm going to show you just how to put the glue on the inside. Remembering that these 2 panels are the same size, and this one on the outside is slightly smaller. So I'll just make sure I've got the papers around the right way before we start gluing. That's going to fit on that one. Oops, upside down. Make sure it's the right way. That's definitely that one, and that's the smaller one that fits on there. Beautiful. So I'm going to do the middle one first, and I'll show you a little tip on how I do it. Get my glue ready. I get it into position, so it sits there between the 2 score lines, nice and evenly. If you've got any discrepancies, let them be at the bottom because you're going to have a pocket there anyway, okay? So I've got that in position, and I'm just going to peel half of it back. I'm only going to glue half at once, just to get it so it's held in position. It's nothing worse than you put glue on the whole thing and it's starting to dry while you're trying to put it on, and you get it in the wrong position and then you're trying to peel off. It just doesn't work. We want these projects to be really simple and quick and easy. So I'm just going to put that down. So I was holding that in position, so I've just dropped that back down. And that's our top half all adhered. Okay, so then all I have to do now is, it's quite stable, I just lift up the bottom half and glue that little bit. I'll just spread that out. Where's my spreader? And like I was saying before, you know, you don't have to be too fussy with these projects. These are not forever projects, okay? These are just little quickies to enjoy the season. Spread that out. There we go, middle layers on. Okay, I'll do another one to show you. I've actually just put a bit of glue over the side. I'm just going to wipe that bit up so we don't put the front cover in that. The top half is all in place. I'll do the bottom half. You don't need to watch me do the last one, so I'll just quickly do that one and then come back on camera. And I promise this time I'll make sure the camera is on so you don't miss any of it. There we go. See how easy that just comes together? And there's no bubbles or lumpy bits because we've thinned it all out. Okay, I'll just quickly do this one. Might be a second. So the final step in this project is to put the pockets in place. I've already popped 2 in, but I want to show you the last 2 and the back pocket. Now, this food one, on this last panel, it's not quite as wide as these ones, but the pockets should all fit the panels because they're sized to fit this one. And when I checked it, because I always check everything before I glue, I found it was slightly, just a little bit too wide. So I just went back to my scoreboard and just scored a line just in a fraction. Look, we're talking a couple of mil, it's a tiny little amount, but it's just going to mean that this is going to fit nicely in that spot and not go over into that gusset area. So I have a 2-step process for putting on pockets that I think is the easiest way to do it. I just fold out the bottom tab. I'm just using a little bit of, let me grab it, some clear glue, because it's just a bit stronger than the white glue, but you could use white glue. This is not a forever project. It's just only going to last a couple of weeks, so you probably could use the white glue if that's all you've got. I'm just going to put the bit thick, that clear glue. So I've just put glue on that bottom tab, and then I'm going to line that up here on the bottom of that panel, like so. I'm just going to hold that in place. So there's no glue here on the side bits, it's only on the bottom. We're just getting that all lined up nice, and when that's in place we can simply fold it back and put a little bit of glue on the side panels. It's just a 2-step process, but it stops you if you've got glue on these side panels when you're trying to put the bottom down. Sometimes they stick to the main panel, you don't want them to do that, you get glue everywhere and it's just messy and it doesn't need to be. So we just put the glue on the bottom tab first and then we just pop these little ones down. It's so super easy. Just going to hold those for a second. Hopefully I'm not making the camera wobble too much. Okay, the final one we've got to do is the one on this side. I might just turn it over that way to do this one. Just putting that last little shopping pocket on. Same way as I've done the other ones. Let's get the bottom in place first. And then put a little bit of glue on the sides. Like so, and we'll just pop that down. And hold that in place for a second. So that's going to be, oops, I'm getting glue everywhere there. That's the flap that folds over on the inside. Just going to leave that to dry. Put our ribbon out of the way. So I have made an extra little pocket for the back. It's optional whether you use it. You could just use a piece of paper and cut it to fit as well. Now I've printed this. This was on the same piece of paper that I printed out the little gusset pieces. So it's only fairly thin. It's probably about 140 GSM. It's not awfully strong. So what I've done is when I've cut it out, there was this extra little bit of white paper between this and the gusset strips. So I've actually folded that over. I'm going to make a little, reinforce the top part of it. It's just an extra little step that's just probably going to make it a little bit stronger. So it's not going to rip when we're putting in our little note cards. So wait a second. Like so. That's just on that top edge. It's just made it really quite firm now. Got our tabs on the side and a tab on the bottom. I want to take a little nick out of the top there so it's actually easy to get things in and out of that particular pocket. Just going to turn it over. I've marked a little halfway spot. I'm just using a circle punch. Just going to take a little nick out of it, not much. Just line it up. It's just a little bit. Okay, now if you were using distress inks, you would distress all these before you glue them down. Okay, but I'm just leaving it perfectly plain because I like the shabby look. That's going to fit in there quite nicely on the back. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue on that. Same way as I've done the other ones, just glue on the bottom tab first, line it up. It all lines up, it does. So like I said, this is really a pretty quick and easy project to do. You can personalize it any way you like. You can change the colors of the papers. I mean, if you've been crafting for a while, you'll certainly know all the different things you could do with it. But if you're a newbie, I just want you to see that you can make it plain, just perfectly plain, using the printables that are in the kit and just some basic glue and scissors for your tools, and you've got yourself a really lovely project. And that's how we all learn, just by starting with really basic projects and building on our skill set. So we'll leave that to dry. So that's our back, our outside cover. So we've got the 3 inside areas. This one folds over that way. And this one folds over that way. It's a little bit wobbly still because it's all still a little bit wet. But I'll leave that, I'll tie it up and leave that overnight, and that's going to dry and stiffen up. Try and get it so it's sitting fairly straight. And tomorrow, when I know it's all perfect, I'll trim off those ribbons to be the right length. And there you have it. I don't decorate the front cover only because I do use mine when I go shopping. I do put it in and out of my tote, and I've found before if you put sequins and things on there, they just come off and they end up in your bag. But if you're actually going to give it as a gift, and they do make beautiful gifts, the little planners, then you might want to print that cover twice and lift it up with some, pop it up with some foam tape and put some little sequins and things on there. You can make it really pretty. Make it your own project. But I just wanted to share that with you today. This is a free printable. You can pick this up. I will have, if you're on YouTube watching this, I'll have a link below where you can go to Shabby Art Boutique and download it. I'll also put the video on the actual blog post. So it's about 19 pages. You don't have to print all the pages. If you're not going to use these papers, you don't have to print those pages. And you don't have to use all of the items that are actually inside of the planner. It's up to you. You may not want the calendars, you may not want the shopping list, whatever. You just print off the ones that you want. Okay, in most instances, there's 2 to a page. So, and I've just printed those on 140 GSM, so it's got a little bit of body, but not very thick. But you could just do these on plain copy paper for the purpose of what we're making. Okay, so very simple, fun little project, and I hope that's a great way to get your Christmas plans started. Thanks, everyone.